What's up, guys? This is Acidic Roots, and it's time for more Super Mario Bros. 2. Now, with this part, we're heading into World 2, which is kind of the desert world, but in a lot of ways, you know, you're gonna definitely see some themes. And really, this is kind of, I know it's weird to break out this saying, you probably heard it a lot, but this is where the game starts getting difficult. And really, the enemy placement, there's a lot of things that contribute to why this game is tough. And when you jump around, the game, there's something about it, like the play control is not as sharp as it is in Super Mario Bros. So you're more prone when you jump to kind of slip and slide around, especially in the later worlds when the ice is around. So, you know, trying to land on one platform like that cactus or a pipe or something is just a lot tougher than it should be. But between that and the enemies respawning, you do have some things that you have to worry about. Now, the thing is I actually love the gameplay of this game. I mean, it happens to be, it's fun, but it's just the play control that needs work. That's really the thing. There's going to be a lot of times I think where some folks are going to die, and you know, as you die, you know, it's a lot of times it's just a question of like, why the fuck did that just happen? What's going on? You know, there's a difference between blaming the game and blaming yourself, and I think a lot of times people are going to be blaming the game for their deaths. So once you realize that, it's just a question of how much you're willing for a challenge. But, you know, this is fun, and I do wish that there were cutscenes. I mean, it would have been interesting to see. I mean, obviously in 1993 that's not really something that would have happened, but I mean, Super Mario All-Stars did do a lot. But yeah, we could have used some cutscenes and just knowing on like, why am I going to a desert, and what is this pink enemy that shoots eggs, you know, that sort of stuff. But for a Nintendo game, I mean, that came out in 1988, it did actually give us an intro and an outro. Now watch what happens. I found this to this was pretty ignorant right here. The enemy respawned. So we're gonna call that, you respawned again, twice. We're gonna call that little bird thing that you walked into, like, John. Now I'm gonna come up with a name for him. I don't know what it's gonna be yet, but it'll be like Billy. I think, yeah, that'd be a good name, Billy. So Billy, we leave Billy, and we're going to head further into the desert. Now one of my least favorite enemies in the game are those little flying pixie things that you just saw. Mainly because, you know, one of my tactics for video games when an enemy comes up is I'll just duck underneath it. But the video game doesn't want you to do that. And so, when I was playing World 2 and 3 specifically, the main thing was, you know, I tried to duck underneath the eggs that Birdo shot, and I tried to duck underneath the bullets and those things, and they would just fly lower, and then I'd wind up dying. So, and of course that, you know, I'm not one to really rage that easily, but there are things that piss me off. That's one of them. So just, you know, if you have that tactic planned, if you say, well, I'll just duck underneath it, just understand that the game has thought ahead of you trying to do that, and it probably will punish you for trying. So that's one thing to know. I know I talk about the difficulty a lot, but it's just, you know, when you play it, you know, you think it's going to be more fun than it is. So, but it is a fun game to watch. I mean, I've watched the Let's Play of this several times, and I mean, I appreciate the music like you hear in this part and that sort of stuff. The enemies, the characters. I mean, I'd say the princess is probably a pretty good character to use, but she's just slow. That's really the main thing that you have to remember, is she's a slow. I think I'm gonna die here. So Well, so the princess is just one of the slowest people, but the whole thing is hang on. Alright, phone keeps ringing. I'm trying to record, so. But yeah, I forgot what I was talking about. So the princess is not a bad character. I mean, I definitely recommend using her for World 4, which is, as of me recording this, the vocals for this LP. That's what I just got done beating. And, you know, I was trying to do it with Toad, and then I tried doing it with Mario, and it just didn't work. You really ought to use the princess's floating ability. I mean, it does happen to be one of the most clever things in the game. Luigi's little kick jump in the air that he does is useful, but he's just too squirrely. So that's the main thing, is you're just going to be dealing with some moments that, and I probably should have taken the left side. Obviously, you know, just thinking you got it. Well, never mind, I shouldn't have taken the left side. But so this enemy is a tougher version of the Birdo character, but you know, as long as you remember that she only shoots 3 eggs in a row, you really don't have that much to worry about. So, but the princess is pretty slow at lifting things. So, but so yeah, the mechanics of this, I mean, for newcomers, I mean, it can be tricky just because this game is pretty squirrely. You know, like you throw one thing ahead of you, but that, yeah, it's just a squirrely game. But I'm just trying to think of what I've been up to. So Easter just happened, and in America, you know, that particular day, as I'm a YouTuber, I pay attention to days where there's less traffic than others, and this was such a day where it was, you know, people didn't really want to spend the entire day or, you know, several hours on the computer. And so obviously, with, I think a lot of channels probably suffered a traffic loss that day. But, you know, I've decided I'm not going to upload a video today, which is the day after Easter either. And, you know, just you know, because too many people, it's like, okay, I'll wait for the holiday to be over, but then people are like, well, I want the day after the holiday too. So you just have to really kind of almost be choosy with what you do. But see, that's what I'm talking about with the ducking thing. They just lower them, they just go down further. I thought that was a pretty snarky thing of the video game developers to do. So the thing that they want you to do is they want you to jump over them. But it's pretty snarky. So, but yeah, it is at nighttime, and I think I'm gonna get a game over. I don't really remember. This is gonna be a longer video, but you know, we're just gonna have to pay attention. So, I tend to like desert worlds. I've always tended to like desert worlds in terms of video games. They're kind of some of the least, in terms of presentability, they're some of the least, can't find the right word for it. They're not, they're not something that are going to make you, like, they're accessible. Yeah, that's what, they're accessible. It's not something that's going to give you a hard time as much as a water world or like an ice world where you tend to slip and slide around. So once you understand those mechanics, I mean, yeah, there's quicksand sometimes, but that's really about the only thing you have to deal with. But, you know, I'm kind of trying to decide what LPs, you know, what Let's Plays, side Let's Plays I'm going to do after this game and Super Mario. Well, I guess the only LP I'm doing right now is Lost, or Super Mario Bros. 2, but I was thinking about doing Doom. You know, the original game Doom, which came out for the Super Nintendo, seeing as I normally do Super Nintendo games, that's probably what I'd do, but I'm just running out of ideas. Like, I thought I might do F-Zero, and I also thought I might do Final Fight, but there's just not a lot of casual and simplistic video games that I want to mass to the public. That's just what I've been trying to do with me doing these games, is just making sure that people know. I mean, I know that Mario already has recognition, but I don't know how many people who are just depending upon the crowds of folks out there, how many people are actually saying, hey, you know, let's go play Super Mario Brothers. Whether it's athletes, basketball players, baseball players, hockey players, golf players, country club people, you know, people who work in factories, anything, you know, any of these different little things about the type of person. You know, I'm hoping as my audience continues to grow that, you know, Mario grows along with it. It's not really as a result of me, it's just more, you know, because that's kind of the thing, because I'm not really a Let's Play channel. In the future, I don't want to be seen as a Let's Play channel, but more of someone who just so happens to be good at video games. It's kind of like, you know, a football player also being good at baseball. You know, it's just an extra trade. It's like, oh, I didn't realize you could beat Mario. That's what I'm doing. So, I just can't figure out what sort of games I want to do after this. Now, technically, I'm not so sure I can beat this game. I mean, I can definitely probably get to the end, but I don't know if Wart is going to wind up giving me problems and how exactly that's going to go. But, you know, I'm definitely enthused about the audience spread that I get. 'Cause you know, I don't want my demographic to just be a bunch of 16-year-old, you know, teenagers who are, you know, getting ready to start college. I mean, I'd also like to think I want, you know, people who could be politicians, people who put on suits every single day, people who have to wake up and play sports, you know, these type of folks who got, I mean, I want this, you know, 16-year-olds also, but I'm just trying to have a large scale audience receptacle. And I think the best, you know, obviously the best medicine to coding some of that is just breaking up the monotony. You know, my vlogs, I do a lot of talking and a lot of funny skits, but sometimes you just need the colorful graphics of a Mario game to kind of give you a vacation from all that. So I'm definitely going to do it. And I still encourage, you know, I would say besides just getting pizza all the time, I would also go to KFC, get yourself a big bucket of chicken, and this is what I'm talking about, the squirrely gameplay, but get yourself a big bucket of extra crunchy chicken. It's get yourself some biscuits and just have a time with the whole thing there. But yeah, I want to do Doom. I've never played Doom. I've never played it. I was almost thinking about getting Doom 64, but I just didn't get to the point in doing that. I've tried watching a couple streams and Let's Plays of Doom, but it just never really caught my attention. And I mean, I'll let you know right off the bat, I am not a PC gamer in the least. I mean, I've never been. You know, folks who went from the Super Nintendo to the PlayStation instead of the Nintendo 64, a lot of this audience went right to the PC after that. I mean, you probably got the PS2, but then you also got pretty much just said, fuck it, I'm just gonna do PC from there. I just didn't make that transition. I mean, I've had a computer since, I've had at least one computer in my household since 1998, but I just never thought to actually play video games. I miss Doom, I miss Diablo, I miss Duke Nukem, I missed The Sims, I missed, you know, all those type games that came out between all those years. World of Warcraft, I mean, I just didn't do it, and it's not something I wanted to get into. Warcraft, I actually almost did. I mean, I have a desktop computer where I can actually do that, but I'm just, you know, for me, I know that I'm 12 years late to the party. I just don't want to play with folks who have been doing this for 13 years where I'm never going to make a dent. But I'm hoping to cash in on the next trend that really happens. I'd like the video game world to be taken by storm again, like what happened with World of Warcraft, because I think that still has a few million players today, despite the fact that it is a 12-year-old game. But, you know, Minecraft kind of gets close to that. I mean, that's pretty popular, and that's been going for as long as it has, but it's almost, it makes you wonder what direction, you know, video games are gonna head. Because apparently Zelda's doing pretty well right now, and you know, I think really I want to play the game, but I'm kind of unaware if the controls are gonna work the way I want them to. Nintendo just cannot develop a video game controller that is classic like the Nintendo Entertainment. I mean, they did it in 1985. I mean, the craftsmanship that you got in 1985 was, I mean, that's a symbol of video games, is the Nintendo controller, the AB and the select and start one. That one is pretty much just happens to be a symbol. But the Super Nintendo kind of is also, and the Nintendo 64 not as much. And I haven't been able to understand why that one hasn't stood the test of time. I mean, Nintendo 64 is 20 years old. People talked about the 20th anniversary of the Super Nintendo, but you don't really get that with the 64. It's like, well, I don't know. I mean, we're talking Mario Kart 64 is 20 and that sort of stuff, but you don't really get anything else. So I don't know if the princess works for this stage. You know, really, these enemies happen. These are a pain in the ass. I mean, these always have the right placement to piss you off. So that's one thing to remember, is you have to pretty much be on your toes in order to deal with them. There's always a right character to use for the stages you do, and you know, you have a 1 in 4 chance of figuring out which one it is, but 25%, but you only get 2 hits to figure out if you're right, so. Yeah. This game, I think I have a love-hate relationship with this game. I think that's really what it is the fact that I'm kind of half and half. Like this, I mean, this game makes me angry, but I do like just about everything about it when I watch someone play it. So, this is purely frustration. But I had a little point that I was getting ready to say at this moment, but I just forgot it. So the trick that you want to do is you just want to get these characters to, because when they drop to a different level, they'll walk in the direction that you are. So you want to wait until they're walking in the opposite direction so you have more time. But you know, once that many of them start to pile up, I guess I'm kind of doing this the tough way. I knew that there was a stage where you get the choice and you don't have to take the right path, so I'm not sure if I'm gonna die here, but you know, there's really not enough time to do this, so yeah, so that took care of that. You know, I'm almost surprised that I'm actually attempting to beat this game, because, you know, as long as I've owned it and the fact that I've never actually said, you know, it's high time I get to beating every single one of these games, I never would have thought I would have beaten Lost Levels. I mean, except for Worlds A through D, which is just kind of like a bonus challenge for super players. I mean, that's about the whole situation, it's just whether or not you can do it. And I do feel like I can, but I don't like raging. I try to avoid getting angry, but so Princess is pretty distinguished. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, I've seen, you know, the type of situation with her is she's not really a wuss. I mean, she seems smart. I've seen merchandise with her where it's been, she's not exactly like your regular damsel in distress. She's not like the woman from Popeye who Popeye basically had to save. I don't remember her name, if it was like Sweet Pea or whatever her name was. But, you know, she was basically a ditz compared to Princess Toadstool. And she at least has the ability to, you know, put 2 and 2 together. So then that's kind of the way a lot of it was. I mean, you look at things like Mickey Mouse, and I think there were probably stories where Minnie Mouse was pretty much kidnapped and had to be rescued also, but of course we're talking about things that are, you know, decades old, but you know, this game is almost 30. So this enemy is really not that tough as long as you have those mushroom blocks. As long as you don't miss, you really don't have anything to worry about. But alright, so that concludes this part of the LP. So this was a long one. I'm hoping the last few won't be this long. But alright, so we're gonna do World 3 later down the road. Subscribe for more fun. And have some KFC with this. It's definitely something you probably won't want to miss.